Hey everybody, I thought it might be interesting to you to show what's in my backpack and a little bit of background. Of course, the way that I hunt typically means long walks away from my truck in public lands, maybe a mile or more back into the woods. So I've got a lot of stuff in my pack, and that's necessary because of the situations I'm faced with. If you're hunting behind the house, you can shoot a deer and then go back to the house and jump on a four-wheeler or whatever, bring your skinning knife and all the equipment that you need to take care of the deer. But if you're over a mile from the road and you shoot a deer back in there, you want to take care of things. The other thing is, specifically during rut hunts, you're likely to be sitting for a long time, maybe all day, and so there's a lot of things that are important to have with you. So I got a lot of stuff in my pack, but that's basically what I've developed over the years of doing this for a long, long time, and somewhat trial and error. So I just want to kind of go through these things real quick and explain each of the items and a little bit about why they're in my pack. Obviously, a necessary item is a good quality headlamp for getting in and out of the stand in the dark, trailing a deer or whatever. This is a black diamond. I'm a firm believer in paying a little bit more for a good quality unit in just about everything here. And this one here is about a $40 light, so it's not a real high-end light, but it's a good value for the money. So another thing is the scent killer field wipes. These are moist wipes that you can use. They kill your scent, and a lot of times you get sweaty walking into the stand, and you can wipe these right on your skin, and it kills the bacteria that will cause odors when that sweat dries up and so forth. They also work good in, let's say, a situation where you maybe get a case of the quick step, I guess you could say. They're a real nice alternative to carrying a roll of toilet paper with you, I guess. So I always have some of these in the pack with me, and I also use them to wipe up my hands and arms after I field dress a deer too, and just generally, clean myself up. A little bit of something to eat. If you're sitting for a long time, I usually have a couple of granola bars, a Cliff Bar, a power bar of some sort, and then I mentioned the field dressing stuff. I like the field dressing gloves that have long plastic sleeves, and then have the surgical gloves that go right over them. That works really good for keeping your hands and arms clean. And a good field dressing knife is important. This particular one here has 3 blades. It's got the skinning blade, gutting blade, and then it's also got a bone saw, which works really slick for cutting through the pelvic bone. This is a knife that I've used a lot. Man, I've taken care of a lot of deer with that. I really like that particular knife. It's made by Browning. A good flashlight is not a bad idea, even though you got a headlight. And the reason I carry this one, it's really, really bright. This is made by Celestron, and as you can see, it's super bright. It's also got a hand warmer in it, where you hold this button down and the thing just warms up and it becomes a hand warmer. And as you can see, it's got a USB port in the end of it here, so you can actually charge this thing up. You don't need to replace the batteries in it, and you can also use it to charge your device, like your cell phone or tablet or whatever. So I have a basic, little kit thing here that's got the various, I don't know what you'd call them, the ends that you need to charge my iPhone or a tablet or whatever. And speaking of that, I always carry a couple of extra SD cards with me, because I'm likely to be checking a trail camera along the way somewhere, and an SD card reader that you can use in your phone or your tablet, so you can look at the phone or look at the pictures while you're sitting in the tree stand, and that helps you determine where you're going to move your stand to, or if you're going to hunt a different location the next day. Or for me, seeing deer on the camera when I'm sitting in the stand gives me confidence that I'm in the right spot. A couple other little things you might not think of is zip ties of different sizes. It seems like I always need to fix something. I use them a lot for zip tying my tag to the animal. Different states have different regulations on where you attach the tag, whether it's to the antler, to the leg, to the skin, to the, even the nose in some states I've had to attach a tag. So zip ties are important for that. Lighter for emergency situations. You never know when you're going to get caught somewhere, and a fire could save your life, and a lighter's very light, and you just never know. So it's a good idea to have it. I also like to carry just an extra small hook with me that I can screw into a tree if I need to hang my backpack or rattling antlers or whatever. This comes in handy in a lot of ways. During the rut, from the end of October, I guess, basically through the end of November, I always carry a grunt call with me. This is a Primos buck roar. I really like the sound of this call. It's a deep call, and it's also got a tube on the top, so you can do a snort wheeze. That really helps. This, I mean, you can do a snort wheeze with your mouth, but this really gives it a lot more volume. So I have really done well calling deer with this particular deer call. So I really like that call. Rangefinder, of course, is an important aspect if you're a bow hunter in particular. And I don't range deer a lot right before I shoot them. In most cases, what I've done when I get to the location is I range some objects around me that are pretty obvious, like maybe a rock or a log or a bush or a tree or something like that, that would give me distances, so when a deer comes, I don't have to pick up a rangefinder and range them. All I got to do, I already know what the approximate range is, so that goes back in my pack. After I usually just use it right away when I get to the stand, then put it back in my pack. A couple different kinds of wind indicators. This is a puffy bottle wind indicator. I like to use those for determining a general wind direction, and it's easy. If you're choosing where you're going to set up your stand, this is a good item to have just to kind of get a feel for the general wind direction. Then once you get in the stand, I carry a bag of milkweed seeds, and they're very, very light, and they flow really cool when you let them go from your tree stand or from where you're hidden. If you're in a ground blind or whatever, they will show you exactly which direction the wind is going and where it's swirling around specific things. So while the wind indicator just gives you a general direction, the milkweed seeds, actually, you can watch them flow, and they'll go and up and down, and they'll go around things and so forth. So I just go out in the fall and pick them when they get good, and when they get ripe and they start to turn brown, you just pull the seeds out of them. It's very easy. It's something everybody should have. Here's a tip about carrying something with you. If I'm eating something, I want to drink something too. Sometimes maybe you feel like you got a cough and you just need a swig of water. Don't use those bottled waters. So many bottled waters nowadays, the plastic is so thin that when you open them, they just crackle and they make all kinds of noise. So this is just water in this bottle. I drank the Propel that was in it, and now just filled it up with water. So I've got that with me, and this bottle is a nice thick bottle and doesn't make a bunch of noise when you open it. It's always in this side compartment of my backpack right here. I just keep that with me all the time. Okay, I usually carry an extra trail camera with me because you never know when you're going to want to put a trail camera up. In the pack with me all the time. Here's something that a lot of people don't think of, and I learned this the hard way. I've had 3 times when I've needed an extra release, a spare release. One of those times was the first time, and I lost an opportunity at shooting a deer because of it. The other 2 times I had a spare release, and I was really glad I did. So I always have a spare release with me just because of, a situation in the past where I really wished I would have had. A basic cutters is a good idea. I generally don't carry a saw with me anymore, but this is a cutters made by Real Avid, and it's good for nipping maybe a little something that might be in the way in a shooting lane. A lot of times I will nip a brush, a twig, or a small plant in front of a trail camera because it's going to wash out the flash, or maybe it's going to wave in the wind and cause a bunch of pictures that I don't want. What I like about this one is that it folds up really cool and goes in this case, and it's just in the bottom of my pack for when I need it. So I really like that. As far as extra items of clothing, it's going to be different based on what the weather is going to be. typically, if I'm hunting in fairly cold weather, I'm just going to carry at least a light pair of gloves that I can put on to protect my hands from the wind. Also, it can protect the shininess or the movement of your hands by keeping them camouflaged. If it's colder, I'll carry a heavier pair of gloves with me also. Also, when it's colder, I carry a hat that can be pulled over at any time, a nice warm hat. And I use a face mask a lot where it helps protect your face, the deer from seeing your face is what you're trying to do, but it also gives you a little bit of warmth. And this is the kind that I typically use. It works really good to kind of hide your face. I don't like smearing those greasy colors on your face, and you know, whatever you like, it's fine. But that's my preference anyway. So as far as a pack goes, because I got quite a bit of stuff here, I use a pretty good sized pack, and then also I'm putting a DSLR camera in there and a video camera, and sometimes more stuff than that even. So this is a 1500 series by Tenzing, so it's a pretty good sized pack. I like the fact that it's got a lot of small compartments in it, so you know I could put a lot of this little stuff in its own compartment, and also my deer tag and things like that go in there, and then the big compartment goes, a lot of bigger stuff goes in there, and it's also got this interior pouch that you can pull out, and it's actually a rain cover, so you can actually pull the rain cover out and cover up your backpack and make it waterproof. If you don't have that, then you can carry a small garbage bag with you or whatever, but you know, it's going to rain. If you hunt enough, it's going to rain on you. So there you go. That's basically the things that I feel are important to carry and why. If you see something you think that I missed, or you've got a suggestion or anything like that, leave it in the comments below. I'd be happy to hear about it, and we'll take that from there. And also, please subscribe to see more great hunting videos. Thanks for being along.